On today's episode of Detour, we're talking about something that I get asked a lot, which is how to market your business. But more importantly, how do you market your business when you have no money? And I'm in a unique position. I actually have money to market my business, but I prefer the ways that you can market your business that cost you no money or cost you less money. So we're going to discuss that today and really come to the conclusion for yourself. Are you meant to launch your business, your brand, your product or service? Are you willing to put the work in? Are you willing to be consistent? If not, sail it in and get back to work at your job. You'll have more fun. So a question I get asked all the time is, I want to market my business, but I don't have a lot of money. And that's fine. Most brands, most businesses, when you start, don't have a lot of money. There are a lot of things that are available to you that don't cost money. So we're going to go through a list of a few of them. Creating content is the most powerful thing for your business. So whether you're a consumer brand, whether you're a business-to-business product or service, the concept of creating content will drive new customers. And that can mean photography, that can mean video, that can mean a podcast, that could mean a how-to video on YouTube. And the excuse I hear for those things usually is, I don't have a budget for that. I don't have the equipment. If you have a new iPhone, you can shoot incredible video, like our friend Paul Ripke said. You can shoot incredible pictures. I do podcasts on my phone fairly often. I can do everything I need to do to be a content creator for my business on my phone. There are so many apps that are available to you that are very powerful in editing photo, editing video, adding captions to your video, making them look better, color, filter, whatever it is. So I think creating content is number one. If you create content, you post it on Instagram, you post it on LinkedIn, and you're consistent, they will generate business. And we do that with our own brands constantly, where I challenge the creative leader of one of our brands, where I say, just post it, see what happens, tell your story, tell your journey. People will resonate with it. People can't fall in love with you if they don't know what to fall in love with. So I think creating content is the number one thing you need to do that should not cost you a lot of money. The quality of your content will obviously improve when you have a bigger budget, but until that time, just go out there and just start putting things out. You can always delete it or hide it later. That's easy. Once you've created content and you're consistent with it, you will see an uptick in your followers, in your engagement, either on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, wherever you want to post. And when that happens, you need to now reach out to those people. And that is an easy way to build brand loyalty. So it could be a comment where you reply back to them. It could be a DM that you reply to. It can go on every single person that has ever purchased your product, posted your product, show them love, like their picture, comment on them, give them a compliment. That is so powerful for a brand or an individual representing a brand that can have a major impact on your customer relationship, which ultimately is great marketing that converts to sales. Simple, does not cost anything but your time. I do it with all of our brands to this day. When I'm sitting in an Uber or sitting on an airplane, bored at home, I'm sitting there liking pics, commenting on them, giving people support who support our brands. Very simple, doesn't cost me any money. Everyone should do it. The next thing I think you should really focus your effort on is finding new customers. And how do you do that? So content is really great for doing that, but really generating interest in your content organically is not easy. And often the way you do that is by reaching out to new people. So an example can be you do a great video on how to, uh, I don't know, dye your hair because you're selling hair dye. So you do that on YouTube, and then you go post it on Instagram, you post it on LinkedIn, and then in each of those platforms, go and literally message people that fall into that demographic. So on Instagram, if you do a how to dye video, go search hashtags of people that have dyed their hair or hairstyle accounts that people are following, and literally just start DMing them and say, hey, I launched this hair dye product. I started it with nothing. This is a cool little how-to video. Check it out. Look, the return rate on that is unclear. I don't know how many people even open your message, click it, but it's free. It does get exposure, and it will convert if you're consistent with it. So I think like the concept of like this, the flow to really get free marketing is create content and then learn how to amplify it. And amplifying, like I said, could happen through messaging. It can happen through sending your link out to many, many people. Create email list for your content so that people who are really engaging in it, that they can constantly be updated on it. It's things like that that really make an impact. The other thing that I think people often uh, kind of just don't think about or think it costs money is using other people to promote your product and brand. So when you're starting out, often people are like, I don't have money for influencers. Sure, you may not have money with the 1% of influencers, which everyone else is targeting, and they cost an enormous amount of money to have them engage in your product. But there's millions of people that have very high engagement that influence their following. And when you're a small business, if someone has an influence over 1,000 people, think about 1,000 new people seeing your brand, your product, your service. How valuable is that to you? Would you be willing to give them a free product, free service, free, you know, what will you be willing to pay for that? And not necessarily in the form of money, but in product that you can afford to give away or in a service you can provide for them. There is an enormous amount of opportunity still in micro influencers that I don't think people realize that most brands, most products, and most services have not taken advantage over. Take like a friend of yours, for example, that has 1,000 followers or 1,500 followers. Those 1,500 people follow that person because they actually know them and they're actually connected to them. They're not like random people that followed it because they're friends with a celebrity. They're actually following them because they like them or they're friends with them or they enjoy what they do for a living. And I think that is the most powerful group of people you can target when you're launching your product, your brand, your service. And I think often those people get overlooked because they're not quote unquote influencers or famous, but they actually have influence over purchasing power. And when you ask like big brands and they ask like survey questions to their customer audience, how did you first stumble on our product, our service, or why did you try this? I guarantee you an enormous amount of people make purchasing powers based on what their friends tell them. Oh, my friend told me about this product. My brother recommended it. My mom, my sister, my cousin. Those are the people that have influence over people's purchasing power. Yet we always go chase the celebrities, we go chase the influencers, which are great for awareness. Look, if you have the budget and you can essentially spray your message across to millions and millions of people and then follow it up with micro influencers who actually use the product and service and enjoy it and it looks organic, that's probably the most powerful thing you can do. But for most of us, the budget is in the micro influencers. So why not take advantage of that? And that kid's simple. Like if you go to someone that has 1,000 followers that follows your account and is in your demographic, and they'll be like, hey, we love what you're doing. Do you mind if I send you a pair of shoes? Would you post for us? The answer is probably yes, because that person's not getting free stuff. And that ultimately did cost you money. It's the cost of the product and the shipping and your time to follow up with that. But that's probably more effective than a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad when you're starting out. So I think people just need to do a lot more what I call hand-to-hand combat, which is really engaging with people, building relationships, and have them be your brand ambassadors. Lastly, the thing that I still think matters is physical interaction. So all the tips that I've given to this point have been digital first marketing concepts. And while I do think those are scalable and they are efficient, there's nothing like physically engaging with your product or your service. That can be done in a number of ways. So I'll give you an example. In my business, we do our run club that gives you engagement with our run community and our run product, which is at a pop-up space that we host every weekend. Uh, in in our weekly run club sessions, brands will come and give out product, uh, whether it be a beverage, a food, a something that's a supplement to people that run or an aid for people that run. Think about that audience. These people run every single Saturday. Think about all the products and brands and services that cater to that audience. What an easy way to talk to those people. We're a pretty open community. If you just showed up, you get access to these people for free. All you have to do to them is educate them about your brand, your product, your service, and give some away for free. It's so cost effective. And think about it. They get to hear about your brand from a brand leader, perhaps the founder, perhaps someone that works at the company. That type of engagement, think about what you would have to pay for on social media to get a 10-minute level of engagement. You can't. It's not even possible. You can't pay to get 5 minutes of someone's time on social media. It's just like impossible. But you can show up at, I'm using the Run Club as an example because I do that every Saturday. Such an easy way. And depending on what you do, there is a physical community for your world. If you're in beauty, if you're in education, if you're in construction, I don't care what you do, there is your community meets somewhere and you can be present there. And you don't need to buy the booth. You don't need to spend the money on advertising. You just have to physically be there with your product, with your brand, with your service, and find a way to talk to people. All these communities are already meeting and engaging. You just need to be a part of it. And there's so many ways that you can reach out to these people. It just takes time. It takes effort. But once you figure that out and think about how many people are going to get to meet that engaged of an audience in real life, most brands won't put the effort in. But if you do, you're going to win that game all the time. Lastly, the most powerful way to do this for free is to actually build the community yourself. And that is what I pride myself on doing. Whether it's with Menlo Club, Grand AC, group chat, DEETOUR, I'm all about community building. I also have a very long horizon on how I build communities. I'm okay if I did an event tomorrow and 5 people show up. I will continue to do it till I build a critical mass. I remember when we started our run club, I'm using that as an example because we're in that month of running. The first one we had 20, the next one we had 10, the one after that we had 5, and then sometimes we had 10 and 5 people. Now this month, I don't think we've had less than 60, maybe even 70 people to come run. So think about what your business does, what your product does, what your service does. Can you build a community around it? Can you build a physical community around it? Can you build an online community around it? You can build a community for anything. There are millions of Facebook groups for anything you could possibly imagine. Trust me, your business needs a community. My preference is to build the community first. Then it's easy to market and then have them trust to buy your product, your brand, your service. If you're able to do that, you will ultimately last longer than your competitors and have a better relationship with your customer. But again, this is your time. This is your effort. People want a magic wand when marketing. They want to be like, oh, you can just spend a couple bucks on Facebook and your brand, all of a sudden works. And that's not how it works. Nothing happens overnight. Everything takes years and years and years. If you're not willing to put forth that effort, don't even start. I'm telling you, don't start. It is so hard to build a real brand, not a growth hack, a real brand. So I encourage you to really think about all the things we discussed today, whether it be creating content, messaging folks, building a community, and really think, are you willing to put forth that effort to grow your business? Because if you're not, I'm sorry, it's probably not going to work. And this advice is really for people, for that solo entrepreneur, the brand new brand, the person that's starting a brand new service that's targeting a group of people. It's a grind, and you have to be consistent and you have to be patient. If you do so, you will see the results over a matter of time. But it's a long period of time, and this is just the beginning. Good luck.